What up, old Uncle 2? Back with you once again for another weekly outlook. All right, this week we're going to keep it quick and we're going to stick to Bitcoin and ES, and we're going to talk about this week specifically. Last week I hit you with a nice long video to sort of give you the roadmap of where we expect to be. On those two assets, we talked ETH BTC and we talked oil. Oil bottoming, it bounced this week. So far, so good on oil. All right, ETH BTC, I said basically that I thought there was potential for Bitcoin weakness, that ETH may be just a little bit weaker. Here we are. We've dropped down, stayed within the corrective channel. I do expect us to break to the downside, but until we break out of this corrective channel, going to the upside, even though it's very much a corrective channel. So we're all but confirmed, but until we break out, that's your confirmation. But I do think we'll find a nice low and rally around the same time. I think Bitcoin will find a nice low and rally. As I told you last week with Bitcoin, we're going to dive into this and ES a little bit deeper for talking about this week. However, I thought that it would reject at the top of the corrective channel, as it did. I was bearish Bitcoin coming into this week, but I was bullish on the S&P. I thought that we would find a nice little low that would give opportunity, and that happened. However, let's lead this week with our outlook on the S, because this little ditty just dropped. Apparently, our boy Trump is putting Powell under federal investigation. Maybe they're going to go get him with Delta Force. I don't know. Maybe they'll put a nuke in his coffee. Fucking crazy, right, boys? All right, so that is why we're opening Sunday here with a little bit of weakness. However, we can probably say with a fair degree of confidence that this is a level of FUD that should not persist into the markets. I don't know what will happen with the news, but as we know, news follows TA. I do expect that the market will decide to shrug this coming down, because why? Well, we saw a three-wave move off the high. It was pretty, let's say slight, not, it technically adequate in depth, but not really adequate in time. I was looking for a bigger retracement in the B to this earlier in the week, and then the C moved down to this level. We got the move to the level. We didn't get the B. Well, my Eagles just lost, so phone's going off. Sorry about that. Anyway, we got the depth, but we didn't get the time on that B. So what happened? We put it in a corrective three-wave move to the upside, which, in fairness, on Friday looked like it was going to be a breakout. So that felt really good. But if you took longs at this low, do not fret. I think you should be safe. You can decide how you're going to play them. We'll talk about it in the Discord. But I do think three-wave move to the upside. So this move coming down is that scary C that we hear about all the time. Well, if you read the EWI Prechter book, you'll hear about the devastating C wave, and that's in particular in reference to a flat wave. Okay, and this market loves them, so don't panic. Don't say oh well, look at the steepness. No, it definitely looks like a C. So I feel good about a bounce here. However, let's say that this FUD increases. Let's say that there's Iran news. Man, this guy, he keeps us guessing, right? He's always doing something. So let's just talk about the potential if this doesn't happen. But I do believe that this is a pretty nice probability play. This is what I'm going to be looking for this week. But what will tell me that I'm wrong, okay? Well, what would happen is that you would create a significant low below this area of support. So we've got the prior wave 4 low of the impulsive wave off the bottom. So this prior wave 4 low. And then in addition to that, there's my paintbrush. This wave 4 low. Then we have the depth of the side of the proposed sideways, which is always where we should expect a sideways, a flat, any type of flat. People get caught, well, like they project for a running flat or expanded flat just because we created a slightly new high. Whoever's teaching you that is teaching you wrong. We'll see. Let's see how this one plays out. Maybe I'm completely wrong, full of shit. But the best way to gauge it, and then in expectation, say from where we are here, is that we should reach the area of this low. right to the top of this low volume node in the VPVR, right in the heart of this high volume node that's been catching us and causing resistance earlier, which has been proven to be support now. We're going to test it. We're going to prove it again. And then, if it creates a significant break of this low, let's delete some of that stuff. Significant break of this low and holds below, if it creates a small wick and a Wyckoff term, that would be the C phase, right actually starting right now, but where we would then bounce and then begin the D. Very standard for that spring action down here. Dip into this low volume, this area that traders do not like. There's price. There's a disagreement in price here. Traders don't like price being in this area. Either they think it should be higher or lower, so it moves right through, right? So we get that spring action. So we'll look for that. If we don't get just that spring and it comes down and then it rejects right in this area, then all bets are off, and we should zoom out and expect lower than that, of course. And I would think that would have to be on some news. But again, typically, news follows the chart. In that case, we're targeting back down to this low, this previous 50. We can, in fact, we'll move it up if we're doing measured move now, flipping through different various forms of analysis. We don't all just have one tool. This could be, you could look for the potential for an expanded move, right? Of this move, which means you just leave the same bottom and move the top to the new high here. Look for right at this dotted line that I've got marked for some reason. Usually when I do this, they're important. I don't remember why I did that one, but over time they usually do pretty well. So if we do reject, that's the next area of support. Not going crazy. Still think that this is going to be a pretty bullish quarter, unless we start doing weird stuff with armies to allies and all kinds of weird shit. So this week, I think that we will, again, the primary plan, come down, find a nice bottom with a nice potential opportunity. You got to look and see how this is playing to determine if you think it will break through and then reject, or if it's going to be a good opportunity. And again, of course, we're going to go ahead and at this point, let's see where that is. All right, so we didn't create a 50 on that one. However, of course, I have it in line. However, if we draw it there, perfect 50. So I like that. We'll take it out of line quickly before we move to Bitcoin. Yeah, pretty much the same. So right back to this area of support. Feel good about it. All right, let's see how the news plays. Last week, we had to make a bold call that we were going to reject when people were getting a little jumpy on Bitcoin. And then we had to, well, I don't know what people were thinking about ES, but I know that people were getting froggy on Bitcoin. However, as we see, we did reject. And really same this week. We do have a three-wave move into the low of this corrective channel. We could continue within here, but it's never the primary expectation. But with price getting funky as it is, the J Powell situation, weird price action maybe is a potential. But what we're going to be looking for probably is that this would be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go. Give us this up wave, which again, unfortunately, I think that this is a C, and that this is, we're in a range, but it's a nice range, right? $10,000 range plus. All right. And then we'll come down, we'll flush, get this zone, and we'll get out of here. But this week, I'm focused on looking for a break to the downside of this channel. Should that happen, could be a very nice shorting opportunity, maybe a retest of the channel to give you that opportunity. By the time market's open, if you do off-hour stuff, that's on you. By the time the market's open, I'm looking longs, sort of like last week, looking longs on ES. I'm looking shorts on Bitcoin potentials. You could even go here, but I don't like it still being in that channel. And I'm much more inclined to long than I am to short in general. You should know that about me. So hopefully that was a quicker outlook this week. See how you guys like it. But last week we did pretty good. Let's see how we go this week. All right, boys. Toot.